Welcome back. This is A RAP CRITIC. I'm your boy Malik 16. And no, I promise I wasn't partying with Melquan and Hassan, but I'll be partying. Shani shaking her head. If y'all don't know my special guest, this time I'll introduce them. We got Shani, stiletto diva, Renaissance woman extraordinaire. Y'all can catch her, check her links that I got below to not one but two of her businesses and learn about her other businesses once you make contact with her. And then we got the legendary, we're gonna call him the legend, the legendary Ruler, f.k.a, formerly known as Big Dex, contributor to the album that we're talking about, major contributor to this album and other albums, and all his links will be below too. And this is category 2. We're still talking about the 1996 classic Legal Drug Money by the Lost Boyz, and in this category we'll be going over the rap performance on the album. And I'm not gonna waste your time. If you have not already, take a moment to like and subscribe to the channel. Check out the rapruler.com so you can vote, or you can leave your votes in the comment and join along in the fun, because it's fun. It's all family here. It's real New York today. All right. So in category 2, the first dimension that we go over is dimension 1. And you throwing up gang signs.
Nah, that's a cue. That's a cue for Queens. That's a cue for Queens.
Dimension 1, personality and charisma. Where we going with this? On this album, Legal Drug Money, how much personality and charisma was exhibited?
All of it. That's a fact, especially for 50 times we had.
Yeah.
A lot of personality. Like you said, with the slang and everything. Yeah, that's all they did. It was just show what they were made of. So yeah, they wasn't trying to imitate nobody, were they? Nah, it's all personality and charisma. Yeah.
What you saying, Shani? What you think about the personality and charisma?
I mean, same. Like, I love the fact when like Cheeks went in on this. Is this the part? Like when he went in, like you really see his personality.
Yeah, and sure the old man lived with fam.
You talk about at the end when he's like, "Have you went?"
Yeah, yes. I love that. And Ty's verse on All Right, like. I'm sorry, that song always brings me back to like 134, like like it's just, I mean, it's literally like if you from Queens, it like literally just brings you there, and if you're not from Queens, it gives you the picture.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I definitely got the picture listening to it, and Freaky Ty and Cheeks had overwhelming personalities. They will win you over. They had charm, they had ghetto grit, and they also had the ability to make you, have a good time. In
chemistry, the chemistry of them together.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think there's also a level of vulnerability that gets shared that also makes it feel like these cats. Because like Cheeks continues, like I said, he shouts out what his crew's going through, their stresses and stripes, and then he's always mentioning his family, like his mother, his brother, his son. He's mentioning them, and he's shouting out everyone he knows in Queens.
No, I was about to say what's funny is all those people are real. Everybody shouting out was real. He was like, he's projected. My baby boy Troy, you'll be too next forever. He ain't had no baby boy Troy.
Oh wow! So Cheeks was pulling the Tupac, because Tupac was good for that. Tupac would be rapping about having a son, a wife.
Now he has a son, Z-Benz. Z-Benz like 17, 18, and he's rapping too. Shouts to Z-Benz. But he didn't have a son at the time, no.
See, that speaks to the personality element there, because he got me. I was like, damn, man, he got a little man to look after.
But that shows, you see what he, what he was on. Like he's just telling a painful story, like, because there are people that could definitely relate to that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he probably saw somebody. Ty had a son, I believe.
Genius. And Freaky Ty, like, even though I mentioned on 123, he's telling this aggressive murder story, he's also kind of giving you the beginning of it. It's coming from that point of desperation. Yeah, lots of personality on this album, and their personalities carry this album. That's what you listen to it for. So something to consider on a scale from 1 to 5 heartbeats. What you giving it, Shani?
5. 5. She just waved.
That's the newness. Ruler, what you giving it?
Me too. 5. Cinco, baby.
Cool. That takes us to dimension 2. Believability versus or suspension of disbelief. So it's not an album. I know you just pointed out that Cheeks would throw some fictional things in there, but it's really not an album where they actually believe it's a character. So they're, every now and then we get these concept albums where the rappers are telling you they're in character. This is not one of those albums. They're telling you this is them. So then the question becomes, how much do we believe them? How good a job do they do at making us believe them as the listener? Do we believe the Lost Boyz?
I did. A lot of stuff I didn't even being next to them. A lot of times they say stuff, I believe not knowing if it was true or not. So
that's right. In Prodigy's autobiography, he mentioned, and I've heard people tell me this in the past before, like New York legend, that Lost Boyz is actually like a gang in Southside. It's a big crew. And they roll like a gang. So not like a gang, but it's a big fam, and they roll like a gang. And they had run-ins with Mobb Deep and their crew in the past, according to Prodigy's book. So any truth to that?
Perfect explanation. That was a good explanation. That's exactly what it is. Now I hate to say gang, but it was kind of like a gang. But it was just a lot of. It wasn't like, yo, you get sworn in and all that. It wasn't none of that. It was just like, yo, people were happy to rep it. Some of them was bad element. You know what I'm saying? That was still part of it.
What's Group Home, fam? I never knew what that was.
That's what's your name? Charles Soup and Big Tiz. Charles Soup was the manager, right? And his boy Big Tiz got locked up. He was taking out the picture during the Shining part, but he was there in the beginning. It was Charles Soup and Big Tiz that used to manage the group. But that's Group Home. That's what Group Home family. And when Charles Soup had started managing Cannabis, so Cannabis was part of Group Home. You know what I'm saying? And A+ was part of Group Home, so that's what it was. It was a little team, you know.
So Shani, you grew up with some of the members. Like, how believable was what was being said on Wax?
I mean, it was believable. I've seen a lot of stuff that I will not talk about. I've seen a lot of stuff. I've witnessed a lot of stuff, but it was like he says, it's the real deal street life. Like that pretty much sums it up. Like that was truth. This is facts.
Me and my man doing things hand in hand on the Van Wyck. That was facts. Like all, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. A lot of what they're saying is grounded and not far-fetched either. Again, I keep mentioning.
Wait, I'm sorry, I gotta interrupt you.
Go ahead.
There was a meme talking about when Cheek said he gotta get there mad quick, and he had to take Van Wyck. Yeah, it's construction on the Van Wyck. So
all the time. They were slow as hell. You can't get nowhere in the Van Wyck quick. That was a break.
Nowhere. I remember that. I was like, this Van Wyck?
Yeah, this same Van Wyck. This one. Yeah. No.
Yeah, there's no way. But yeah, because they're not saying this outlandish, out of reach stuff, it also makes me feel like that was deliberate too. Again, their contemporaries were over here talking about doing jobs with Gambinos and Italian families, and they're just talking about bursting in out of state to make a quick buck to feed family. Like that was always the context that the street life tales were in. It was never like, yeah, I got 1 million mansions and
I want to add to? Cheeks don't really listen to nobody. He's still kind of that way. The only music he listened to was like old school Marvin Gaye and like just stuff that's not really hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So like, if this is going on in hip hop, he probably didn't even know what's going on in hip hop. You dig what I'm saying? He do what he do.
Sense.
You know what I'm saying? So that probably contributed to the fact that they were so different at that moment.
That makes sense. Yeah, some and even if there were parts that were exaggerated or fictionalized for the relative, the relatable aspect, like when he's like, now how can I explain I don't want to take out, but my you working on my last day. Like, you know, like what a thought. Who puts that on wax, right? So I'm like, if it wasn't real, then he was really in his bag trying to stick people in that situation, right? And so yeah, something to consider on a scale from 1 to 5 heartbeats. Some rappers are really not good at this. Like they say one thing and act another way, and it's like, come on, bro. So on a scale from 1 to 5, believability, 5 being yes, I believe them all the way, and 1 being like, no, we don't believe you. You need more people. There we go. All right. Dimension 3, we switching it up. The delivery and the use of voice. How are the voices used on this album? How are the raps put across? How are they using their voices? I mentioned in video 1, I think Lost Boyz got it. I think they understood the voice as an instrument probably more than half of the game in their time. Like in hip hop history, honestly, they got to be in the top 5 of understanding the voice as an instrument, because some of the production will take Music Makes Me High, for example. It's not complex production. It really is the drum kick and the bass line. And what fills that out, besides the little harmonizing in the background for the singer, is Cheeks and Top like bouncing off each other. And you'll see that throughout the album. Cheeks is the anchor, and Top, without Ty, you know, some of those songs with Lifestyles of Rich and Shameless, I feel, is where Ty's presence was needed the most. It was just, it completed that song. It's like, I don't want to hear that song without Ty, especially when it breaks down on the, what is that, the second verse, and Ty's like in the back, like, oh,
wait, I know what you're talking about. When he said, why you OT? Yeah, I'm up for that part. But on that note, right? You know, a lot of times, when people, as a producer, you might make a track on your own or something, or even around the group, and like when you finish the track, you present it to the group or pitch it to them or whatever, right? I never could do that. I could never finish my beats before they start. So now, whatever I started, it gotta stay. If I was thinking like, I ain't gonna keep that. You know what I'm saying? Now it gotta stay, and I gotta build the beat around what they do. You know what I'm saying? That's why a lot of times I felt like my beats was a little they didn't marry well. You know what I'm saying? They sounded good as hell, but they sounded just different. Like, you know, I ain't take a chance to time to pick the right drum sound, maybe to fit the sample that I'm playing against, and stuff like that, because it was too hype and I didn't want to mess it up. You know what I'm saying? So that's what happened with a lot of records. You know?
Wow. Yeah, it's like you didn't need to add more instrumentation because they
already like. I don't care if I went boom boom with just a kick. They would start. So you know that would be the hook. You know what I'm saying? So, and then maybe Cheeks will write to it later, but they already had a concept down. You know what I'm saying? Like from earlier. That's how a lot of them.
And I think where Ty might have had to like calm down on some verses to show a switch up. Cheeks would get to Ty's level on some songs to show a switch up. So like Shani mentioned, is this the part Cheeks starts raising his voice a little bit on that album to really show when he does that on Channel Zero, where he calls that Marky Mark, right? It starts getting real. You can hear the teeth gritting on those parts. So they knew how to use their voices.
Definitely did. That was It's how you we do, like you do stuff like that behind all that funny shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they knew people loved that shit. So yeah.
And so on It's All Right, the decision for everybody to go and emphasize that hook, right? Because they could have just said it's all right, but in the background they going, oh.
Give a lot of credit to Spig Nice too. Spig was there wilding in the back. Oh. They be having the studio sessions, man. I wish both of y'all could have seen it. It was fun, man. It was just wild fun. Like you just put the music on, and that whole All Right. I was blindsided by that record. You know what I'm saying? Like we probably had the idea It's All Right, and I think I made the beat I didn't make it in the studio, but we didn't have a record. That was one of the songs we didn't really have I had the beat, but we ain't had nothing to. So a lot of the songs was put together before we got to D&D. We might have made it at my house or something like that, and then when we went to D&D, we just recorded. But when we got to D&D, I just put that beat up and just, you know what I'm saying, and just let it play for a while. And that was like really, it was organically made. When they went in the booth, I had no idea what the song would sound like, and I would happen to be standing there. I was in there because there was, my son might see this. I was in there because they was, you know, partaking in the essences, you know. So I wanted to be there too. And that's why you hear Cheeks go, Big Dex, take a pull of this L. I go in, because we was literally, he's sitting there freestyling, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could hear it. It was really, Cheeks had some of those lines already, but he just was like, let me test this verse, you know what I'm saying? The whole song's freestyle. When it came to my part was written up, but I don't do what they do. You know what I'm saying? But I got in. And it was like, you hear it building, you hear the whole, if you listen to All Right, you hear everything happen in real time. Cheeks says, when it was my turn, I didn't know they really wanted me to get on the record. He said, what he say? Right before I come in, you hear Cheeks in the ad-lib saying, somebody come in. He's saying something like he's trying to indicate to somebody to come in, and he was looking at me when he was saying that. And I said, hey, yo, you know what I'm saying? I just started around, yo, check it. I freaked into it. That's how I went down. And that's why I didn't like my verse, because I wasn't ready. I didn't plan this verse for that beat or none of that. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right. I can never tell.
And that's why I do this channel, because, you know, from a rapper's ear to a rapper's mouth, or from a rapper's mouth to rap, we pick up on that. I knew from the first time I heard it, I'm like, oh, they freestyle. It sounds just like a good time in the studio. You can hear Ty coming in, he's like, oh, you know, and he starts going, and
the stutter. Nobody talks about this. I'm the only one probably gonna talk about the stutter. Everything is yeah. They would like double up their words, like fake echoes or whatever, but they stuttered everything like on purpose, like you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
I'm from the Lost Boyz. Yeah, they stay going.
Yeah. That's I love behind the scenes stories and just that musicality. Rappers don't do that, and that's the difference. Even in singles, you know, Marvin Gaye could have just sung his songs, but he decided to do all those haunting, stacked up harmonies in the background, and that's what you see happen on songs like All Right. They could have just said it's all right, but they're in the back going just. It's a vibe that's created because of that, and it fills songs out and makes them fuller, complete bodies of work. So something to consider on a scale from 1 to 5 heartbeats. What you giving it, Shani?
We the same.
Cool, okay. All right, Dimension 4, the one everybody waits for, Flow. Now, I think, you know, Cooler just mentioned that Cheeks didn't really or doesn't really listen to other rappers. That makes sense because he's coming with a style that at most I would, if I had to trace it back to something, I would have to say it's like reggae influence. It has a natural swing to it. And to make a decision to make this choice in '96, where rap is inevitably moving into a direction of being more complex. Everybody wants to be lyrical miracle rappers, stacking syllables. And it's ironic that they introduced Cannabis, who at that time was the most lyrical miracle rapper, and Cheeks bounces. He's like, it comes from, old school reggae. I'm not talking about 90s dance hall, about some old Paris Hammond. Play, you know, original one.
Sidebar. Cheeks is on some of those same kind of songs you're talking about, right? Yeah, you can look them up. You find Cheeks on them same kind of records you're talking about. But
yeah, I believe it. I think I've heard some. And so, what he does though is introduce a whole new style to the game. No one has rapped like Cheeks before, unless we're going way back to the days of Cold Crush and the call and response style of rap, right?
Right.
But his is like a hybrid of that and some reggae influence, but it's all his own. And Ty is doing something that's just unheard of too. We've only heard that kind of double up, maybe like Public Enemy was doing it. The contrast of Chuck's voice and Flay's voice, but not your gruff voice person being the hype man. That is usually the other way around. Your high pitched guy is the hype man.
I wanted to say that too. They're Public Enemy and Cypress Hill all over again, like in that category. You know what I'm saying? Send Dog and Be Real, kind of.
Oh, you know what? You're right. Cypress Hill did do it the reverse way first. Their high-pitched guy was the lead, their deeper voice was the hype. So Lost Boyz was the answer to that. But it just always blew my mind that they were like that they made it work. When everyone was, and you know, on the second album, you hear the difference, right? So you hear a song like Beast from the East, which was the big arrival for Cannabis. And Cannabis is going in there, in the helicopter to Suey Chopper. And Cheeks doing his regular flow. Cheeks knew his position. He's like, you know, I'm not even going to try to be the most of the He's like, I'm ripping in the jet. He's doing his regular flow. Because he's like, I'm not going for it.
But he could gun like them, man. I'm sorry, man. I done heard Cheeks in all types of elements. He could gun just like them, but his mind is how he thinks. He don't want to say, well, everybody, you know, he don't want to battle. He don't want, it's not a competition for him. It's let's do one and have fun. You know what I'm saying? But he can gun. When he's around a bunch of rappers, if he gonna get on a track with dudes rapping, he gonna back his pen out. You know what I'm saying? That's how Cheeks do, man. But yeah, I wish it was more evident in that.
Yeah, and I think, you know, that's probably what happens on wax. Is not as evident. And again, if you have rappers here, then you can tell. I can tell he had it because he'll gun in short bursts. So like Jeeps, Lex Cool's Beavers and Benz, where he's like, from Jamaica comes a nigga named Teeps with techniques for the streets over rough dead beats, you know. And,
yeah.
He'll
Exactly.
stack and put syllables together when he wants to. But for the most
You can see he got it in him.
His default flow is this easy to swing. It's a swinging style. That's the only way I can describe the flow. It's not a simple, you know, A B rhyme pattern. It's like, and I don't know if that's the thing you could get out of him. You know how you might try to tell somebody talk straight or rap straight. I don't know if he can stop doing that. Like that bounce is his natural go-to.
Right. It kind of is. It kind of is.
But no one else has copied it. No one else has tried to run with that, and it really felt.
Because it's really subtle. It's really subtle. It's not super standout. When I first heard Cheeks, I didn't get like the Jamaican thing that you're saying. I got more like Smooth Criminal. But this is probably stuff you've never heard. When I first heard him, he was rhyming on Closer Than Just Friends by Surface, right? That beat. He was rhyming to that. You're coming in peace. And he had like he came off to me like Nas without all the, you know, Nas is intricate. But Nas has this tone when he rhymes. Hey, yo, go to hell to the foul cop, shot Garcia. You know what I'm saying? Right. Cheeks was a dude like with a lot of those, you know, not with Nas's lyrical structure. But yeah, when the atmosphere around him changes, he does a chameleon thing, but he'll go to that swing style. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what.
Yeah. And then Freaky Tah does a more straightforward flow. So when you get to a song like 1, 2, 3, it is a 1, 2, 3 pattern because he wants you to hear the story. He's like, forget all the fancy dancy. It's like, I'm on the train. Now I'm on the boat. Straightforward. And it's hella verses. I don't know how Freaky Tah, it was like 6 verses on 1, 2, 3.
Facts. Facts. It was like 4 or 5. Yeah, it was a lot of verses.
Like, how long does it take to get to head step, bro?
Oh shit, he's stupid.
But yeah, I mean that's flow, and I think you hit it on the nose, Cooler. I think everything in hip hop is about perception. And so because it wasn't showcased in an evident way on the album, I think people would say the flow is not like a big deal on the album. Right. So. But it's something to consider on a scale from 1 to 5 heartbeats. So Shani, what you giving the flow from 1 to 5?
I do a 4.
4, yeah.
Can I go like 3.5? Can I say 3.5?
Yeah.
3.5.
3.5. Yeah, and I know you said Cheeks held back.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Flow wise. Everything else, he like all the other dimensions you listed. They was doing their thing in them dimensions, but flow wise, he could have been a little bit more.
Gotcha. Now you mentioned 5, wordplay and bar intent. So how much effort was put into the bars and how many clever devices of the English language are being used. You know, Cooler checked me a couple times for mentioning the legacy of Lost Boyz and not being like the most lyrical guys. And he's mentioned a bunch of times in video 1 and here that Cheeks has it in him, but what you're not gonna get on this album is a bunch of rhetorical devices. So you're not getting a lot of metaphors. You're not getting a bunch of alliteration and allegory and all of this stuff. You're getting more basic description, but I think Shani pointed this out earlier. What you are gonna get is imagery. You're gonna get a lot of imagery.
Shani.
I mean, yeah, I would definitely say I think they did better at wordplay on the second album. For this one, I would probably give it a 3.
Oh, you jumping right to the ratings? Okay. Cool.
Well, wordplay. See, you probably just you fresh off Illegal Drug Money, Malik. You probably just finished hearing it. I haven't heard it since, so I'm trying to recap. And I'm trying to think of wordplay, and no, he didn't crush it wordplay wise. This wasn't like mad metaphors. Nah, I wouldn't say. But I feel like you're gonna say something that's gonna make me be like, oh yeah, you know what I'm saying? But nah, I don't really recall any heavy wordplay or metaphors or styles flipping. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I think at most you're getting imagery. Of course, you're getting lines like "I'm so like," getting lines like that, or "What you think of some sucker? Worked in, I stomp you out with my tin check." But it's straightforward. It's not requiring you to like connect two abstract points. Like, you know, again, Cannabis is gonna, you know, mention mummies in Egypt just to tell you that he's better than you. Like, they ain't got time for that. They got all these ghetto strikes and struggles they going through. They just want you to feel Queens.
You know who I often compare Cheeks to? Snoop. He can be lyrical sometimes, but he doesn't choose to be a lot. You agree?
I agree.
You do, right? Like, I hear Snoop, like stuff after the stuff he put out when he was in his prime, he didn't give that much energy to. But the prime stuff was kind of ill, like not super lyrical, even no Nas, G-Rap or nothing like that, but it was good stuff. You know what I'm saying? Snoop. And I kind of compare him and Cheeks. Like, I think they similar. They tend to be similar.
Yeah,
you know?
I think what Snoop always had it was flow. I don't think Snoop ever had like lines. It was just like after that first album, you're not hearing him say it's the capital S or yes or fresh and double OP. He's never doing that again. He's going
right.
Kalima, Lisa, Tisha. Shani already started it with the ranking. So what you giving this for wordplay and bar and tech?
Right, did I say that? I feel like I said 3.5.
Oh, you said 3.5? Okay, 3.5. Yeah. All right, something for y'all to consider at home on a scale from 1 to 5 heartbeats. We go into dimension 6, which is punchlines or poetic wisdom and overall quotability, right? So I put these together because not everyone's a punchline rapper and not everybody has this poetic wisdom, but they're on the same tier. They're not trying to trick you with clever words and funny lines, but they're gonna say something that's easily quoted. Punchline rappers though, Fab, Daddy Kane, Lord Finesse, Big L, every line you like, oh my God, I need to rewind, right? And so we established that Lost Boyz doesn't have that rewind factor where it's like, what did he say? It's like, no, you caught it the first time, right? But was there any poetic wisdom here? Was he saying things you could?
Yes, on Legal Drug Money. Yeah, Cheeks had a lot of those pain quotables. He did. On Straight from the Ghetto, Channel Zero, Legal Drug Money. Keep it real. Poor bit. Now, he just, the way he delivered his shit, I can't really pinpoint a line right now, but I know he got some shit that made me feel like, I'm ripping out my head, but I can't get to my brain. Like shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
Like, damn, that's a good
right.
Right.
Even the yarn, right? So I think the quotability factor it doesn't even have to be the most poetic, wise stuff. It's just the fact that Lost Boyz was saying things that weren't being said, and they said it in a way that was so true to who they were. What did he goes? He goes, don't jump without a parachute. And that's how he ends his verse. It is just quotability, a song that's gonna live on and forever in hip hop history. We talk about Lost Boy memes. I've seen Facebook debates spark on whether this was a stupid line or not. So when Cheeks goes, she wants to be a lawyer. It doesn't matter, so he said he's lawyer.
It just sounded good, yo.
But so many lines from that song are quotable just because of the visual that was created from the story he was telling. Like, started feeling on her breasts, started feeling on my chest. This doesn't even mean it. Or the Mad Magazine stand from Essence to Right On. She came out with sweats pants and a ponytail and t-shirt. And of course, as Shani knows, the Van Wyck line. So, they're gonna be quoted for good or bad because of the impact of this album.
They even count up how many blunts he smoked on the song.
Yo, thank you. There was a blunt in every stanza of every verse. They smoked a blunt before we ate, and a blunt after we
Welcome to the life of a lost boy.
Yo, he had to smoke a blunt before he went to the hospital. He was smoking boom and the whole nine on his way to the hospital.
Yo, when did he roll the blunt when he had to go? That's crazy.
Right, the only time he did smoke a blunt is when he was pouring beer. He switched it up. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
And then I think Shani said this earlier and it got overlooked, but the quotability, the Jeeps, Lexus, Beamers, and Benz wound up being used again by Lil' Kim on the Jump Off because it's such an iconic New York song and it gave it like a whole nother generational life.
Right.
Yeah, there's people, and because Lil' Kim is a bigger artist, that allowed that to reach further. So there might be people who know Lil' Kim and Cheeks version who didn't know the Lost Boyz version.
Yeah, I must say, I wasn't there for the making of Jeeps, Lexus, Beamers, and Benz. Like, I had no inkling of it, you know, because they had a time when I guess they had a meeting and a session with Easy Mo B where they made these joints, right? Mind you, I was around the group a lot, but I wasn't there for the recordings of these songs. But when they played that shit back for me, my jaw dropped. Like Jeeps especially. Lifestyles was dope. I love Lifestyles. Lifestyles hit me a certain way. Jeeps was fucking fire. That hook. I looked at Cheeks like I ain't know he had that in him when I heard Jeeps. It was so different from everything we was just recording. I mean, I don't know, does it come off like that on the album? Jeeps don't sound like none of the rest of the Jeeps, even the 2-tier hook and everything. I was like, damn. You know what I'm saying? I just have to speak on that.
He has something to prove on there, or that, you know, and he even says it on the verse. There's rumors going around about the Cheeks can't remain raw, you know?
Right.
So he was in his bag. And the beat just had an undeniable bounce. I didn't realize on New York radio that Mo B put so many other pieces underneath it. I didn't hear all of like the chords, the Rhodes piano and stuff he had going. I just heard the bass line. Because on Hot 97 it's just boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom,
and this is weird bell. I'm still trying to figure out how the hell he did the bell that it starts off with. That transformer. I don't know what
Shani, you gotta get Mo B on here.
Okay.
Yeah.
That should be hard.
I was like, usually I'll be seeing him literally walking in the street.
This album has been quoted, and it probably will continue to be. So something to consider on a scale from 1 to 5 heartbeats. What you giving it, Shani?
I say a 3.
3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the lyrics are memorable, but it's not a 4.
Okay.
I'm gonna go 5. There's a lot of good stuff. I like it.
All right. Dimension 7, concepts. Some albums are concept albums, but most good albums have a concept song. Nas is like the master of this. You know, Nas always does something conceptual on every album. He rap backwards, he tell a story.
Yeah.
Somebody else, you know. So on this album, is there anything conceptual?
I mean, legal drug money, music makes me high. Drops mic.
Drop the mic, Shani. It can't be argued that the whole album is a concept album, right? Because of it.
True. But I think I know what you're talking about, like Jay-Z's 22 Tunes. Like when Pun did that nigga shit.
Yeah.
Stuff like those. Is there a joint on there like that? I don't know. I want to say, I want to say the game, but not really. I don't think there's any choice like that on it.
Right. I think you've revealed that there's conceptual elements on here, like Cheeks going into a space to speak for other people, or but I don't think there's anything outright. We're not getting Pharaoh Monch territory. Pharaoh's concept right.
Yeah, that's a fact.
So, but something to consider whether or not that's a weakness, because an album that's still solid without it says a lot. Because it used to really be a big part of people considering the album a classic or not. And so,
no, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say that I'm thinking, although this is the next album, they had a song on Love, Peace, and Happiness called "Why," and that's like that kind of. So, but they didn't do that on this one.
Right. Okay. Well, something to consider. If you feel like it doesn't affect it at all, then that's a 5. If you feel like he could have done a better job, then you go down the scale. So, Shani, what you giving this for concepts?
3.
Okay.
Concepts? As far as that's concerned, 3.
Okay. 3. All right, and then that takes us to dimension 8 and dimension 9. These are your content dimensions. External content, where they're talking about things outside of themselves, and internal, where they're letting you in with their personal feelings. I know we already talked in video 1 about how much content there is compared to how many songs. That's just for the album. This is the actual content. How good a job did they do? But some rappers, they just stay away from it. Like Redman. Redman's just never going to do a deep, introspective song. And Redman's probably not even going to do a deep song about the government or anything. But then you get rappers who only rap about the government and society and don't tell you anything about their feelings. So here, Lost Boyz, how much are they talking about issues and how much are they talking about their feelings?
I mean, they might not talk about like deep love and feelings, but they do. They talk about like hood love, like in Is This the Part? You know what I mean? They talk about the yearn. We talked about that. And just like what they go through in everyday life, feeling like just being held down in general, not necessarily by the government or anything in particular, but just the struggle in particular.
Even though Cheeks does speak on that. On Channel Zero, he talks about white boys acting black. Then he goes and says, the only time we stick together is when we march. And he's like, yeah, I'm talking to you blacks. And then he talks about the government. And I mean, he's just speaking his mind on. The whole song starts with him talking about his personal issues. Like, yeah, I live with my moms. I'm getting tired of this. I need money. I don't want to do illegal things, but I might have to. Then he starts talking about the state of the world. And so he goes there. And then I love that you mentioned Is This the Part? Because we get Renee, which is a story about the love of his life dying, or his first time being in love. The whole point is that he's never been in love. He's getting 143 messages, and he's like, I guess this is what it feels like, and then she dies. But Is This the Part? He's deep in love, gets his heart broken, and he's telling her off. And he tells you the beginning of that story from how he met her to how they stay together, and then to cheat. Cooler, what were you going to say about the content? Because there's a lot of it.
I think it's highly indicating. Like, you may not have spoken from, like, what do you call it, third person or whatever position, but I think he was like, I'm gonna tell my story that I know you can relate to. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna tell something, I know you feel me. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of, he did it indirectly. They both did it indirectly. You know what I'm saying?
Legal drug money is content too, because again, it's speaking to that same desperation that you hear on Keep It Real. It's not a lot of bragging songs, like every line where it's about bragging, besides Jeeps, Lex, Scoots, and Beamers and Benz, there's like here's the struggle part of why I'm telling you this. So it's like, we about to make moves because of this. So Keep It Real is more like a call to arms. Like, yo, if you with us, roll with us. If not, get out of the way. And, and every verse on Legal Drug Money, it ends with them saying, it ain't nothing funny. Like, they telling you, we at this point. On the real kid, it ain't nothing funny. 94, 95, 96, Legal Drug Money, right?
Here comes the real love.
Jeez, I think you just made me think, Cooler, because you were asking earlier why, if any other song on the album sounds like Jeeps, if he's going off the way he is. I'm like, I think not, because that might be the only song that's
where
like,
he's bragging.
I'm bragging.
Yeah. He probably needed to add that because he didn't have one.
Yeah,
it was
you're
like,
right.
Yeah.
Because think about it, music makes me high. It's like more everybody have a good time. Get up, please. Everybody have a good time. Jeeps is like, you can't touch me or my crew.
Yeah.
Let me tell you why.
And then he still goes back to shout out to the Jeeps. he still shouts out.
So we got lots of content.
Even in the group's name, Lost Boyz, it's like they like to say you're a Lost Boy too if you experience these things. You know what I'm saying? That's why Lost Boy became so infectious. Shani, no, like this Lost Boy being made right now. You know what I'm saying? Like it's so I do feel like this group is all like about the people. Like it's music for the people. Even if they did it unorthodox style. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
It definitely would seem like there's a fair representation. He does have third person moments, but I think only on Channel 0. And a lot of it is second person. He'll tell you what happened. He does have a moment like, it was so funny that you used that Nas example, go to hell to the foul cop, the shot Garcia, because I think, or keep it real, or straight from the ghetto. He says, son, I gotta shout out the shorty, the son that lost a life, nature's mad naughty.
Yeah.
And on Straight from the Ghetto, he has this part where he goes, I just came back from my visit in hell. I sat with Satan and we chatted about this and that and all the foul things that never mattered.
Love that
line. he gets into introspective and I don't even think this is the word, outrospective stuff. So
but I get it.
It's there, something to consider on a scale from 1 to 5 heartbeats. What you giving this 8 and 9, Shani, content?
A 5.
For both.
I was gonna do the same thing. Yeah, start saying what I was saying, Shani.
So we got external content, internal content. Cooler, what you giving it?
5.
Yeah. All right.
Like again, these are the things that even made them who they are. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha. And the fact that you said there were other songs that didn't even make the cut that still sounded like they were going to be content based.
Yeah. Plant a seed, grow a tree, spread leaves, less enemies. Yeah, they for the people.
Trying to get the dose of nostalgia there. Yo, the fact that the urn was really about AIDS, which at the time was probably the scariest thing. That's putting the medicine in the candy. You know, like
the urn was possibly the last record added. It was the first record on the album. Was possibly the last one made for these people.
Makes sense. It's like they didn't preach at all on that song. It was just like, hey, if you're gonna get into this, just think about this. It's probably the best execution that I've heard of message music, because we compared to, a lot of rappers had songs on that album. That America is Dying Slow. Wu-Tang had a song, and it sounded like they were paid to do it. They're like, AIDS kills, word up, respect this. America is dying. And then Cheeks and Ty were like, yo, this is gonna be a party record. Just have fun and be safe while you having fun,
Because they made it for that album. They made it for, it was originally called, let's talk about it. It was originally called Condoms and Ass. You know what I'm saying? And Pete Rock wasn't on it. He did the beat, but he wasn't on it. Then the opportunity for the AIDS song, the AIDS album came. You know what I'm saying? So they was like, all right, let's alter it to make it fit that concept. Because it wasn't far from the AIDS. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
So, and then they turned it to the urn. I don't know why it's called the urn to this day, but
it's just, if this was a song that they already had, nobody had to prompt them, this just shows you what level they were thinking on. Like, yeah, we got something to say. Like, we care enough. And in the same mix, the perfect example is the hook. They're naming condoms with all the other party favors of the day, right? Chivas and liquors and ass. But have your condoms too. We're not gonna preach you. We're not gonna be boring about it. It's a party song, and it sets the tone. So, all right. Final dimension 10.
Okay.
Storytelling. Now, Coolers touched on this a few times in both videos, how important the storytelling was. But in the 90s, man, the old heads of that time used to say it's not a classic if you can't tell a story on a record.
People will listen to your whole song. I tell rappers this all the time. You don't realize that? People will listen to your song from beginning to end if you tell the story. They won't just cut it off for the first verse because they want to hear what happens. You know what I'm saying?
Good point.
Basically, I feel like there was a story on almost every record. And like I said, that's dope. It gives you more, it gives a record more value. It makes people, it takes people away from is he a good rapper? Is he, you know what I mean? From thinking about that. And they think about what's actually going on. And then they kind of, they take the song and hold it dear to their heart. You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, I think it was a lot of that. If it wasn't an actual story, it was something similar. And yeah, that's what made the album great. I'll pick it up for that.
Okay. Shani, let's count the story songs on this album. You got Renee.
Just the part.
What'd you say?
Get up now, story.
To me, it's a story because it made me feel like I'm at K.a.
That's funny. It is kind of a story. I see a whole set of, he's telling what's happening.
All right, I'm gonna lay it out for y'all because there's two ways of looking at it. So the songs are the absolute stories for the whole song is Lifestyle, the Rich and Shameless. There's three, each verse is a different story about a different. Right. Renee is a straight story all the way through. Is This the Part is a straight story all the way through. And
1, 2,
Problems, 1, 2, 3, right? That's a straight story all the way through. The rest of the songs have story elements. So the Game, I think, and Get Up are pretty loose because like y'all started mentioning, he's sliding in the party. He's telling you what's happening. But inside, it's the LB slide. Right? In the Game, he's talking about, I'm getting ready. I'm saying goodbye to my peoples. I'll be going this long. I'm coming back out. Now cool. The Game is a full story.
From beginning to end.
The second verse, he's talking about how they pull up down south.
He talking about Pleasant Park and all that. Yeah, because he said when he was leaving, he kissed his moms, and then he said what happened when they got there. Yeah, he didn't really end with this is what happened. And
right.
He left it open. Right.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, they almost can't help it. I love what you said, Cooler, about. It takes away from the question of is he nice or not? Because again, when you're a story rapper, you just are.
Right.
You engulf people in that, and that's where your skill set is. And I think we saw that even on other albums. Me and My Crazy World, what a story. So simple. I'm like, why didn't no other rapper create this story? And that was a hit. So I mean, Cheeks has that in him, and that's part of the personality and charisma piece. I think Freaky Ty has it in him too. I think if 1, 2, 3 Problems was a little shorter, the story would be a little bit more tight and easy to follow. But look at Shani, you love that.
Yeah, that's a fact.
He wanted you to know all the details.
All the details. How good was the storytelling on this album? You could tell a bunch, but how good was it?
Great, because you saw that shit happening. I saw when he caught his girl with the nigga hugging up on her. You know what I'm saying? I saw it happening. I see the fence in my mind and all that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Renee, you see it even without the video, you see him on the van wig.
Yo, I was just about to say that. I didn't need the video. The video looked just like how I pictured it in my head. The only thing that was missing was 2 Franks and 2 drinks. and John Jay. You know?
Yeah. Lifestyles is, you know.
Scale of 1 to 5, storytelling. What we giving it, Shani?
A 5.
Cool, said 5 too. I'm gonna put y'all ratings at the bottom too, so it's gonna be heavy. Y'all need to all watching it. Make sure you look at the description piece. That's where all the timestamps are gonna be, all the links, and also all the ratings for this album. And hopefully y'all join in, y'all rate and rank for yourselves in all of these dimensions. What you give this album? We're answering the question: how classic is this classic? It's already established as a classic album. We just want to know how classic is it. And that's something y'all do on the scale from 1 to 5 heartbeats, either on the raprouleur.com or in the channel comments below. I want to thank my guests, Ms. Shani, Mr. Cooler. Can y'all please take this time to let them know where they can find you and what you got cooking next?
You can find me at onpointlikeastiletto.com or soultitudewithshani.com. And what is next? I mean, the next thing I'm doing is like Reiki. Tuning some people in Reiki. That's really it. I'm just kind of like revamping everything, but I'm behind the scenes coaching and consulting.
So, and she might help me with this channel too and try to get it back in place. She's already helping me, but go ahead. Cooler, where can they find you at? What you got? What should they be looking out for next?
At Cooler Ruler on Instagram. I kind of set it up so if you hit my link, then you'll be able to see everything from there, whatever. I like to have the red button. You hit one button and you know what I'm saying, you see everything about it. So yeah, look out for a lot of new music, and I'm gonna start back my radio promo for like giving new artists some light that they deserve, and it's hard to get. You know what I'm saying? So I'm back on that. So I'm making music and I'm helping other artists right now get theirs out. So look for that. Word up. Shots to as we talk about Lost Boyz, I don't know if I'm supposed to. There's a new deal. Spig is home. Spig Nice is home after, what he do, 17 years? He's supposed to do 37. He's home after 17. Blues ready, and rest in peace to Ty. Ty's the only one in here. And they're back in the saddle with Universal Records. The same old manager. Once again, I don't know if I should be saying this, but it does. It's gonna materialize. So you'll hear about it eventually.
The true heads will love it. Yeah.
Right. So that's what it is. They're gonna do what it do. See what happens with 2022, the Lost Boyz. And I dropped the album again. In the midst of the pandemic, 2020, I dropped the whole Lost Boyz album because I had so much. I had a lot of material, and I just had the capabilities of getting the dudes that were supposed to be signed after Lost Boyz and the group, Mr. Cheeks himself, and so on. I was able to make a 4-man group album with features from the Lost Boyz family. And it's called
Freaky Ty's son was on that album, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I remember calling Shani and asking her, or texting Shani asking if she heard it. She didn't know it dropped yet.
Not Grand Scheme 1226 though. That was the official album. You might have heard of some other things, but Grand Scheme 1226 is the one real official Lost Boyz album. That's out right now. Y'all could go search, just look it up, Lost Boyz Grand Scheme, and you see a whole album. Like, wow, you hear Talik Rahman, you hear Spig's voice. This is before Spig came home. And Lou, everybody's on it. The whole family's on it. Check it out.
Yeah, I had no idea Spig Nice was home. That's dope.
You look exactly the same, just gray hair.
I mean, we grayed up now, but yeah.
Yo, rest in peace, Freaky Ty. Shout out to the whole Queens. Shout out to the whole New York. I miss it out there. Shout out to the world, man. Yo, thank y'all for being here. Cooler, you're always welcome back just to be a general guest. I'd love to have you back just to talk about one of your favorite hip-hop albums. We can rate it all the same system. And because the wealth of knowledge, again, is here to give flowers to the people that came and laid their mark in the game. And I wish I had literal flowers to throw at you like Nori does.
Yo, Malik, big appreciation, man. I thank you for this, for real, man. I thank you for acknowledging this. Because it's going out of time. Like the kids is on something else. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't get enough. Like once Ty left, like Lost Boyz ride was cut short, so they didn't get to overlap into even to their greatest hits album. They got an album like that, but you know what I'm saying? They didn't get to really live it out. So thanks for keeping it alive, you dig? Waking it back up.
No doubt.
Thank you, Shani.
Y'all know what it is. Shani, as always, my sis, making things happen with the snap of a finger. But yeah, Shani, we already did a little album one separately. We did a Tribe Called Quest. I might let that see the light of day one day. But
no, I look crazy.
Right, let's go into the
check it out.
Let's go into the archives. But yeah. Global hip hop community still being built, the channel still building, support, Like and subscribe, tell a friend, and until then, y'all know what it is. F a Rap Critic. They talk about it while I live it. Word to Method Man.
Cooler ruler divine.